More generally, the basic single table query pattern in SQL looks like this. This is the simplest kind of query you might do in SQL. It's a select, optionally the word distinct, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then a list of column expressions in the output. So these are expressions that define the output columns from the name of your table. And optionally, if you want to filter out the rows, you can say where predicate. Predicate is a truth function. It's a function that evaluates the true or false. Okay, and the simplest version here to think about these simple queries, they produce all the tuples in this table that satisfy the predicate, outputting the expressions for each tuple that are in the select list. Now the expression can be a reference to a column in the table, or it can be like an arithmetic expression over those column references. The next variant we're going to look at is select distinct. And in this case, the keyword distinct specifies that before the output is sent to the client, which in our case might be a screen or a web browser, we should remove the duplicate rows before we get the output. So select distinct sname, GPA from students where s.depth equals CS. Note, by the way, that strings in SQL are single quoted. Here what we're saying is I want name GPA pairs, but before you send it to the output, if there are two rows in the answer that have the same name and GPA, I only want to see that once. Okay. And again, you see that the alias here, S, for students is being used. The word as, which we had before the alias before, is actually optional. So here we, instead of saying from students as S, we're just saying from students S. Both are legal. Another thing you can do at the time of output, other than removing duplicates, is you can order the output. So in this case, we're saying we want the name, we want the GPA, we want the age times 2, and we're going to rename that A2 in the output. So the output column will be called A2, name, GPA, A2. From students S, where s.department equals CS, order by GPA, name, A2. Okay? The order by clause is going to specify that the output should be sorted, and the sort order is lexicographic. What that means is that we're going to order it by GPA. If there's a tie on GPA, we will break the tie ordering those tuples by name. And if there's a tie on GPA and name, we will break the tie ordering those tuples by A2. That's what's called lexicographic ordering. The first field in the order by is the sort order, and for ties on the sort order, we revert to the second field, and so on. Obviously, the order by clause has to refer to columns in the output because that's what we're sorting. And in this case, note that as clause allows us to order by arithmetic expressions in the select list. So they don't just have to be columns that we're ordering by from the data. They could be columns that we're computing as part of the query. We can order by those in the output as well. All right. Detail with ordering is that you can order ascending or descending. So in your order by clause, after every column, you can say desk for descending or ASC, ask, for ascending. If you don't say either, the default is ask, ascending, okay? But if you want, you can always say desk, and ask is optional as well. And you can mix and match these lexicographically. So in this example, we're going to order by descending GPA. When we get a tie on GPA, we will sort the ties based on ascending name, and then ascending A2 as well, because ASC is the default for A2. Another thing you can do right at the output is you can limit the output to a number of rows. So in this example, we're getting the same query we had before. It's ordered by GPA, name, and A2, but we're only going to see the first 3 rows in that order, limit 3. So the argument to limit is the number of rows you want to see. Okay, and this produces the first, in this case, 3 output rows. Typically, we use order by with limit, and it gives us like the top k values in some order. Right, in this case, the top 3. If you have a limit without an order by, actually it's non-deterministic which rows you'll get. SQL is a multi-set semantic, so if you don't say order by, the answer is a set, or really a multi-set with duplicates. And it's not in any particular order. An important aspect of relations is that they are not in any particular order. So when you say limit on something that's not in any particular order, you'll get some 3 rows, in this case, from the table, but without an order by, you won't get any particular 3 rows, and that's up to the database's choice of implementation. So limit, in some ways, without order by, is not purely declarative, because it doesn't really specify which 3 or which k rows you want in the output, and so you just have to deal with that. Usually, if you don't use order by, the reason you're using limit is you just kind of want to get your eyeballs on a few rows from the table, and you don't really need to see what the answer to the query is in its fullness.